Thank you very much, Rich Hagan. And I've got two fine gentlemen with me here. There's Randy Buehler, Ian Duke. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and we're ready to head down to the feature match area for the next round of action here from Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth. I've got Randy Buehler and Ian Duke with me. Down in the feature match area, well, it's pretty stacked up. In our main table, we've got the Hall of Famer, Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa, 9 Pro Tour top 8s on his resume. One of the best players ever to play the game, up against Sam Black. 2 Pro Tour top 8s for Sam. Both of these players coming in at 10-3 as we hit this final stretch of 3 rounds to go, and we are underway in the feature match here. Sam Black looks like he was on the play and starts things off with the Forest. Now, Randy, what is Sam up to over there? The name of his deck is Red Green Bees.
Yeah, this is a Hornet's Nest deck. Hornet Nest, 4 copies in the main. You've got 4 Chord of Calling to go get it at instant speed. You can roast your own Hornet Nest. You can Cetizen Tactics for value with Death Touch and Hornet Nest. It's great against creature decks. Unfortunately for him, that's not what Paulo is playing against him. The blue-black control matchup is the nightmare matchup for this Red-Green Bees deck. So it's definitely edge Paulo in terms of the way the decks line up.
Now, to be fully accurate here, Paulo's deck is heavily blue-black, Ian, though he is actually splashing white for a pretty key card.
Yeah, one might almost call this like an Esper Dragons deck, although the white is just for Dragonlord Ojutai.
Just Dragonlord Ojutai.
Okay, sorry.
Dragonlord Ojutai
I understated that a
offended.
little bit. Dragonlord Ojutai, definitely one of the huge cards of this weekend. In addition to the Dragonlord Ojutai, he's got a couple other dragons, Silumgar, the Drifting Death. And because he uses a dragon package as his finisher, he gets to play with what we call the dragon reveal cards, like Silumgar's Scorn, which we just saw there take out a Courser of Krufix.
It did, although in that case, he didn't actually need to reveal a dragon.
Yeah, and that's one of the major strengths of that card is, early in the game, it just serves as a force spike. And because a lot of these decks in Standard right now don't get started until turn 2 or turn 3, often just force spiking your opponent's first play is counterspell early in the game.
And we saw that here. Silumgar Scorn demanded 1 extra mana from Sam Black. He didn't have it available on turn 2 as he tried to resolve Courser of Krufix. And it got countered. The next one also got countered by a Dissolve. And, ooh, big play here, though, for Sam. He's got Chandra Pyromaster, and Chandra resolves.
Yeah, Paulo's out of counters. It's huge for Sam.
No counter needed. Hero's Downfall is going to take care of that Planeswalker as Sam Black sends the turn back to Paulo, and bang, Dragonlord Ojutai on the battlefield, ready to rumble. And what kind of answers does Sam have to a card like Dragonlord Ojutai? He's not huge on removal that kills that kind of card, right?
Well, I mean, Cetizen Tactics and fight it with a Death Toucher in the middle of combat, right?
So again, not huge on...
Yeah, and I actually love the play of just running out Dragonlord Ojutai against these red-green decks. It's just so difficult for them to answer, and by the time you untap with it, you can hold up counter spells. It just, gets you way ahead very quickly.
Now, the question here, though, is how quickly can Paulo find an answer for the threat that Sam's played, which is Whisperwood Elemental, one of the more powerful 5-drops in this green deck.
How about now?
And it died. So Ultimate Price is going to take down Whisperwood Elemental. Sam still got value. He's got that Manifest Creature sitting there, but that does not look too imposing when it's facing down the dragon. So Sam is going to continue his game plan here and try to find another threat. But right now it's interesting because Paulo gets to play both sides of the field here, right? He is the aggressor and can be reactive as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget just how quickly Dragonlord Ojutai ends the game. 4 quick attacks, and as you're attacking, you're finding more counterspells to protect it or keep up with your opponent's creatures.
Wow. And here's Paulo on end step. This is after Sam played a Hornet Nest. He is going to now resolve a dig through time. So firing on all cylinders for Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa.
I almost feel bad for the red-green bees deck. This is the second time we've had it as the feature match, the video match to start the round. Last time it was Justin getting just destroyed by Andrew Cuneo.
Now, you said that you thought that this red-green deck was a metagame call in many ways, and this is the downside of that, right? Is this a deck he doesn't want to face?
Yeah, I think what's been going on today, I mean, in broad strokes, so many aggro decks were expected, and so many aggro decks, if you look at the most played decks in the field, they were aggro decks. But the control decks kind of knew that coming in. And if you showed up with a control deck, you knew how to beat red aggro, you knew how to beat obs on aggro, and you knew how to beat red-green dragons. So those decks have just been feeding these control decks, and the control decks are rising toward the top of the Swiss.
And that's not great for the red-green plan, so...
Yeah. Do you still have aggro decks at the top? Martin Deng, I know, is our king of the hill. Sounds like he's actually already up a game against Andre Strasky this round.
He's nearly mono-red. A little bit of green in that deck.
Yeah, he's a Tarkir's command, right?
He's got a Tarkus command. He's also got a few other little tricks up his sleeve that I saw when I was down there. We'll see if we can get those ones on camera maybe in a little bit.
So here comes a crucial moment in our feature match here. Sam Black attempting to use Setessan tactics to take out the tapped Ojutai. Unfortunately for him, Paulo has a grip full of spells and opts to use Hero's Downfall to take out the creature in response.
Yeah, this is just plan A when it comes to Dragonlord Ojutai, is once you can start connecting, you're going to find answers thanks to the ability. And it's so difficult to kill Dragonlord Ojutai while untapped because of the hexproof, and now he gets to just keep rolling forward with counters and removal spells and keep attacking to keep that going.
There's actually 7 different decks in the feature match area this round.
Yeah, 7 out of the 8 seats are occupied by different archetypes. That's good news for standard fans. You know, you've got choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The one that's doubled up, though, is blue-black control.
Ah.
I have you going 1918.
Is that good news for you, Ian, when you hear that? When there's 7 different decks, is that something that you're like, okay, something went right here?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. This tournament's been a pleasure to watch, in large part due to the diversity of decks there. You know, of course, there are some old standbys like blue-based control decks and Obzon and so forth, but even within those archetypes, you know, there's a lot of room for metagaming and building the deck the way you like it.
All right, here's one of the combos that Sam Black's deck can do. He's roasted his own Hornet Nest. He's not going to find any targets for roast in Paulo Vitor's deck. All of his creatures are dragons that have flying.
Would you say Sam Black has a handful of Hornets on the table? Sorry, no longer. They've been replaced with actual tokens now.
Yeah.
Just use his fingers as tokens.
So the downside here, of course, is that immediately after Sam played this, Paulo played Silumgar the Drifting Death, which can easily swipe away those tokens. And while Sam does attack first, he knows the writing's on the wall. And Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa takes game 1 against Sam Black. We're going to be back right after these messages.
Hunt bigger game by playing in a Grand Prix. These open tournaments feature the best players in your region as well as top Magic pros. Upcoming Grand Prix include Kyoto, Krakow, Sao Paulo, Toronto, Atlantic City, Paris, Florence, and Shanghai. Visit magic.wizards.com/Grand Prix for a complete schedule. Tarkir in the spring. Spring has sprung and the Mardu Rough Riders are traipsing past the Nomad Outposts in the latest 20-card pack for Duels of the Planeswalkers. These all-foil cards will amp up your 3-color decks and help you conquer the plane of Tarkir. Visit magic.wizards.com/duels for more information.
And welcome back to our feature match area here in Brussels. Let's take a look at what Eric Froelich. We just missed the end of the game, it looks like. So Eric Froelich versus Kyle Bogemis. And it sounds like Eric Froelich was able to get in for a swift hit of 22 points of damage in a turn to take that first game.
How many Jeskai Ascendancies does it take to do that?
That's 2 of them.
Stoke the Flames, couple more instants.
Yeah. All right, so why don't we jump over to that far table there where you can see Seth Manfield versus Andrea Mengucci. And as we come in here, Andrea already up a game. Seth Manfield is currently thought-seizing Andrea in the early stages of the game. You can get a look at a heck of a lot of Planeswalkers there for Andrea. His top end is nice. Look at this. A pair of Tassigers, a pair of Elspeth, and then he even has a Liliana Vest to go along with the Thoughtseize.
A really awkward hand for Mengucci, though, here. He has no black mana, and his hand's really slow. I was going to say this Thoughtseize almost helps him in the sense that it gets an extra card in the graveyard for Delve, but he's still lacking the black mana to Delve a Tasigur.
Speaking of lacking black mana, he finds another copy of Thoughtseize for the one that was just taken. Still can't cast it. And Seth Manfield is going to begin the beatdown plan.
That's the only thing going right for Andrea is that he's already up a game, huh?
It seems so. He did find black mana here. Unfortunately, it's the tapped variety. Temple of Silence. And Andrea's going to ship that one to the bottom. Mengucci has one Pro Tour top 8 under his belt. That was Journey into Nyx. As does Seth Manfield. But Seth's got 3 GP wins as well. He is a veteran of the game. And even though that Caryatid wasn't too imposing for Mengucci, that's all it really was needed, as Seth Manfield, off of a Siege Rhino and Fleece mainline, is able to equalize here and force a game 3. All right, let's take a look at Andre Strasky versus Martin Dang here. It's 20-17 are the current life totals.
Yeah, this is a horse of a different color. Or a denizen, anyway. I think this matchup's... I was talking to Andre. We did a deck tech with him earlier. And he was just hoping to get paired against red decks. This may be a careful what you wish for, right? Martin Dang up a game, and...
So Strasky falls down to 11 with that attack and is sitting on 3 lands and an elf here. Finds another forest on the top of his deck, and the hands go on the head because he's got real issues here. Martin Dang, the king of the hill, in prime position to top 8 here. He really only needs a draw.
Right.
But
and
Andre's not in such a position, so if he beats Andre, sure, that works too.
Yeah, Dang will mathematically clinch top 8 with a win here. Even if he went 0-3 from here, you know, should an X4 get in, it's probably going to be the guy who was X1 before.
I really like the presence of Frenzied Goblin here in Martin Dang's deck. That is that top creature there, right? Really strong against a green deck whose primary defense is going to be trying to block with creatures.
Yeah, that is a Frenzy Goblin up there. That's the Friday Night Magic version.
Strasky's got Nylea's Disciples. Multiples in his hand, right? He knew the red deck was going to be good. A lot of his teammates are actually playing them on a red aggro.
Yeah, it looks like he figures he can survive one more turn here as he adds 2 creatures to the board with Whisperwood Elemental and the Manifest token, or Manifest creature as well.
Hall of Triumph.
Hall of Triumph here for Martin Dang. And all of his red creatures are going to get bigger. And by the way, that thing can't block. He's going to block the Frenzy Goblin, but that has him taking, what, 7 damage here?
Yep.
Falls down to 4 Dostrowski, a.k.a. Stoke the Flames range. So he is really going to need to find a way to gain some life, and quickly.
Yeah, he's got 2 in his hand. First, let's get another green pip onto the table.
Wow,
And then we'll
okay.
gain 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 life. Back up to 10 for Strasky, so not bad at all. This does look like Andre has turned the corner here. It's not impossible for Martin to win from here, but I think we should jump back to our main match and see what's going on with Paulo Vitor and Sam Black. We'll keep an eye on that side match for you and give you an update once that comes to a conclusion. Look like Strasky might be there. It was close, though. So back on our main match here, we've got Sam Black starting things off with a face-down morph creature, which we are going to get to see as it gets Bile Blight. And it was an Ash Cloud Phoenix. Paulo looks very comfortable in this matchup.
Sam does
You know,
not.
he does not. Yeah, it's just Paulo's had all the answers at every single stage of this match, and it feels like he will continue to do so. What does the game look like, Ian, where Sam wins?
Yeah, it's tricky. As Randy mentioned, this red-green deck is so heavily metagamed against aggro. We saw Andrew Cuneo just dismantle Justin Cohen last round with a combination of counter spells and removal spells. I think in order to take over the game, Sam Black really needs to stick a powerful anti-control threat like a Planeswalker or Whisperwood Elemental. So he's going to want to kind of jockey a little bit and try to run Paulo out of removal spells and counter spells and find a window where he can resolve something like that.
Yeah, it only takes a couple of turns of having a card like that in play before Sam can make an overwhelming advantage. But as it stands, he has no play on turn 4. Dragonlord Ojutai is active, and you know what? Paulo's not buying it. Rending Volley and Stoke the Flames and those type of cards can kill Dragonlord Ojutai, so Paulo's just going to play Silumgar the Drifting Death and pass the turn back. He's not going to risk his dragon. That also effectively, we call it time walking Sam. He didn't get to play anything that turn because, well, presumably he left up mana to try to interact with Ojutai. Now, Sam knows that that particular plan is not going to work here, so instead he plays Whisperwood Elemental. Immediately both dragons attack. That's 8 damage plus a trigger, and also Silumgar the Drifting Death gets a trigger twice, giving all of Sam's creatures -2/-2 until end of turn and killing the face-down Manifest. So things are firing on all cylinders here for Paulo. As you know, we talked about it a minute ago, but wow, it's all the dragons all the time. Silumgar comes down to steal the Whisperwood. Sam sacrifices it in response, but look at this board state. Dragon, dragon, dragon. Also, I can't imagine that Sam's actually on 18 life, right? He just took 8 last turn.
He did manage a Rending Volley to kill Ojutai.
So Ojutai down.
Replacement Whisperwood.
There we go. Sam down to 10. Okay. AKA a 2-turn clock here for Paulo. Can keep wiping away the Manifest creatures as well.
Yeah, 2 Silumgars.
It's kind of weird having both Silumgar. You look familiar. The other one says, you're old. All right, here they come. Trigger, trigger, forest down.
Oh, interesting.
6 damage in. What was that?
A
Ian?
copy of Scuttling Doom Engine in Sam Black's?
Yeah,
That's a card we haven't seen much this weekend.
No, and I have actually seen him win with that after he got his opponent close, but I don't think it's going to work this time. We see Paulo play Crux of Fate, and I think one of them might have a bit of a cold, so that's why you saw the kind of air handshake there. But that's going to do it. Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa picks up the match there.
Yeah, it's Sam.
2 games to 0.
Sam's been under the weather.
Sam's under the weather. Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on. I saw Ben Stark out there. He was battling a cold yesterday as well. You can still see our other 3 tables are going.
Still game 2, right?
So are we still in game 2 here? It does look like it. All right, we'll get those life totals up once they are all set. But one of them's going up again. All right, looks like Strosky's on 12 while Martin's on 19.
Yeah, Martin slogged his way through Disciple, killed it, kind of undid the life gain, but now here comes Disciple number 2. And
So
Martin Deng is hell-bent. Empty hand.
He's on empty here. And that Whisperwood Elemental is just so much more powerful than anything Martin Deng can do. It's going to take over this game quite quickly for Andre Strosky if Martin can't answer it. And it feels like getting through for 12 damage for Martin while he's top decking here is not a thing that's going to happen easily.
I did see it's a non-land card in Dang's hand, though. I didn't quite catch what it was.
Okay.
But it could be a start to piecing something together.
So he plays Become Immense in this deck to punch through for huge chunks of damage. I mean, that's
neat.
In his deck, it's 1 mana, 6 damage. At least that's the idea. Here's Surrak, the Hunt Caller. Strosky continues to develop his board, and you got to feel like he's getting pretty close to beating down here. Last turn, he actually attacked with an elf. He's only going to attack with Surak.
Are we keeping track of deposed cons? I think our deposed con count is now at 2.
It's doubled.
Is Narset really deposed, though? We had Narset earlier. This match is at 2.
I think so, yeah.
So Dang with Stoke the Flames in his hand, considering what to do.
Yeah, he didn't use it on the Whisperwood Elemental.
I mean, he still can. Like, if he's going to use it on the Whisperwood Elemental, he just needs to do it before Strasky's end step.
Sure. Martin's trying to find a way here. The problem is that not only does he have to stop Strasky from killing him, he still has to come up with 12 damage out of somewhere. Feels unlikely. Okay, so they it looks like they went to blocks here, but you have to remember that Zurgo can't block creatures. Power greater than 2.
Good old Ironclaw Orcs text.
2 or greater, excuse me. That means that Zurgo just can't block the 5/4 here. And Strasky smiles because it looks like he forgot about that too. I mean, these cards are brand new.
Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the first times in the tournament that Dang has been blocking with his deck anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Also, flavor win here. Surak is a warrior, so cowards can't block warriors. It is known. Take a look at Martin Dang, who is currently up a game in the match, but falling desperately behind Strasky.
And we've talked about how Martin Dang mathematically clinches top 8 with a win here. Pretty good shape. I mean, probably in anyway. Andre Strasky with a win here is probably joining Martin in the top 8.
Wow.
If he gets to 12 too.
You know, Andre's 19 years old and he has a PT top 8 already. Like, having 2.
And here's a Tarka's command preventing the life gain from Nylea's Disciple. So a rarely seen mode there so far, but very effective in terms of effective damage dealt.
Sounds like Seth Manfield just won his match against Andrea Mengucci as well. That propels Seth to 11-2-1. So not quite in the same spot that these two gentlemen are, but Seth continues to rock.
I mean, Seth may find himself in 3rd after this round. Basically just needs to split the last 2 to make top 8.
Seth and Eric Froelich are the ones that lately have stood out to me as just being on an absolute tear.
Agreed with that. Eric up a game in his match too.
And Andre passes the turn back, leaving Martin Dang at 8 life and falling very quickly. You see that Andre is playing carefully here. Here comes Zurgo into the red zone, signaling maybe he drew another one.
Yeah, I mean, while the Surak is tapped, it actually threatens to trade with a creature here since it is a 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, as we've seen, it's certainly not blocking very effectively, so you might as well get in there with it.
Yeah, it's certainly not blocking Surak. It can block a couple of the other creatures, but this feels like a lost cause from Martin's side to me. I mean, you can see that Andre's trying to be very careful, but the 9 damage is pretty rough. And I think Andre's going to be able to close the door on this game pretty quickly. He's got 12 power on the board right now. Sounds like another Dragonlord Ojutai sighting in the feature match area, this time in the capable hands of Eric Froelich. He loves that card.
Is that in from the sideboard?
You know,
I don't think it's main in their Jeskai token.
isn't he meaning? I think he might be. You double check that one. You got the deck list, I think, yeah.
3 in the sideboard.
3 in the board.
It's pretty nice with Jeskai Ascendancy, where you can untap it as a response to the removal spell, give it hexproof.
Because that card needed to be better. That's what we needed to do. Okay. So Ostrowski has decided on a 2-turn clock here. He's going to attack with Sirach, dropping Martin Dang down to 3. And he's even going to play a replacement Sirach as a blocker here. Pretty rough to get 9 damage out of 2 cards. The most you can usually get is 8 from 2 Stoke the Flames. Lightning Berserker for Martin Dang. And Strosky has found what looks like the win here with Pelukrinos. Remember, he's got an active Nykthos going there. So he should be able to kill at least the Berserker, which would give him the win, even through a burn spell. Although it looks like he's now tapped his Voyaging Satyr so that he can just kill both creatures with Pelukrinos. He can also give it haste, thanks to Sirach. Monstrous. 2 and then 3, so that's just enough to kill both. Remember, Hall of Triumph sitting up there.
Yeah,
doing
Martin can
its
trigger
thing.
prowess with the lightning strike in his hand, but he's not going to bother.
And that's going to do it for that game. Andre Strosky wins that one over Martin Dang, our longtime king of the hill over there. One more game to go out of that match. And it looks like, well, we were going to jump back to see a little bit of what was going on with Ifro and Ojutai. Too late. Ojutai closed out the game. Eric Froelich wins 2-0. That puts him in a nice spot. He's 11-3.
Yep.
So is that win-draw or is that win-win?
Yeah. Win and hope to be able to draw.
Okay. He defeats Kyle Bogomus there. And we're going to get a game 3 here on our King of the Hill match.
We haven't actually gotten to see a lot of the King of the Hill table because Martin Dang's matches usually end fast.
Very quickly.
I believe this is the first time he's been the last match going.
Yeah, you know, I was down in the feature match area for the last 2 rounds, and I kept trying to get it so that we could watch a little bit. But,
Yeah.
you know, in the last one, he played against Adrian Sullivan, who was on blue-black control. And this deck's quite good against blue-black control, at least in game 1.
Like, it's still fully, 24 minutes left in the round?
Yeah, they got plenty of time down there.
Whole round.
Everything went by really quickly, yeah. I mean, even Seth Manfield and Andrea Mengucci, they went to 3 and finished theirs. Paulo, of course, 2-0 over Sam Black in short order there, and Eric Froelich 2-0 over Kyle Bogomus. Relatively quick match as well. That leaves us just with this last one. Which is Andre Strosky from Czech. He is 19 years old, and he's playing against Martin Dang from Denmark, who is our GP Liverpool champion, and looking to add a Pro Tour top 8 to his resume here. He might already have it. Doesn't have it at the moment perfectly, but he is very likely to make the top 8. With a win here, he's in. Chisel it in stone. Take a look at what's the best deck here. You know, that's the question. You know, you're looking at the Pro Tour. We've got Standard here. If you want to add to the conversation, you can see on Twitter there, you can use hashtag best deck and put the deck that you think is the best. I mean, when we came into this round, we're pretty late in the tournament here, only a few more rounds, 2 after this one. 7 different archetypes sat down. It is not clear what the best deck is at the moment.
I think Andre might have the most fun deck. I mean, we called it Green Devotion, which has plenty of fun draws all by itself, but his version of the Green-Red Devotion, he went a little deeper than the rest of his team even went. See the Unwritten Dragon Lord Atarka.
Oh, wow.
4 copies each in
Really?
Andre's main deck. Huh. Now, it could be that those shenanigans are what he took out to get all the Nylea's Disciples and the anti-red cards into his deck after sideboarding in this particular matchup, but yeah, 4 See the Unwritten, 4 Dragon Lord Atarka. He actually described the Surox, which looked pretty good in that last match. The Surox and a couple of Boon Satyrs are what he thinks are probably the worst cards in his deck, but they're required if you want to play See the Unwritten and trigger the Ferocious. The dream, of course, being See the Unwritten with Ferocious for Surrak plus Atarka.
Oh, you get the haste too?
5 to your team and the haste for the 8/8 flying trampler. Tarka doesn't really need a lot of help getting to Formidable, it turns out.
Yeah, she takes care of that. See one vote for Stephen Madden Green. That's the Strength from the Fallen deck.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
Well, there's a vote for Jeskai Ascendancy combo from the MTG Mint team. I don't know if
those
that
guys
is
have
the
kinda
best
fallen
deck.
off.
Yeah,
No, I don't think it's the best deck. It can be if you get the metagame just right.
yeah.
But yeah, way too much control floating to the top of the Swiss for those guys.
What's your vote, Randy?
I like the dragon heavy control decks. I think Silumgar Scorn is just a great card. Ojutai is good. Silumgar. You just get to play a lot of really, really powerful cards and do it, anticipate. Yeah, I want to be, I don't know if it's supposed to be blue-white touching black or if it's blue-black touching white, but somewhere in there is where I'd be.
Ian, if you were qualified for this Pro Tour, which of course would mean that you'd lost your job, so I'm sorry for that. But, what would you be battling with?
I think I agree with Randy. I was definitely a big fan of dragon-based control decks. Internal testing, I think Silumgar Scorn is one of my favorite cards from the new set, so I'd be just leaving that up.
Well, I'm now regretting asking you guys first because that was going to be my answer too. So,
But yeah, I also like Dragonlord Atarka a lot too.
Okay.
I could definitely see myself playing a deck based around that.
so
Yep.
we're back underway here in the feature match area. This is going to be Game 3, Martin Dang versus Andre Strosky. Playing potentially for top 8, for sure for Martin Dang, and putting Strosky in a great spot if he were to win this.
Yeah, probable top 8 for Strasky with a win.
Sylvan Caryatid is the leadoff play, and he has so far taken 0 damage. Hordling Outburst for Martin Dang is the first play of the game. You got to feel like Strosky has to breathe a sigh of relief when his opponent does nothing on turn 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely kind of a bit of a slow draw. I mean, Dang's plan is those Atarka's commands. The more tokens he gets, Atarka's command gives them all +1/+1. I mean, I think that's the favored mode for Atarka's command.
Yeah, it's actually sort of a decent draw here for Dang in that he's a little bit more burn heavy and doesn't have a lot of cards invested in just traditional creatures, which can be blocked easily by the green deck.
Okay. Yeah, the Atarka's commands can pile on a ton of damage. You can take a look at it there on your screen, and you can do 3 damage and give your whole team +1/+1, and that can add up to a heck of a lot, especially when your hand looks like Martin Dang's, where he's got...
Yep, get in there.
He's going to have 5 goblin tokens on the battlefield if he wants here.
Strosky not even contemplating a block with his 1/2.
By the way, there it is, Become Immense sitting there too. And, you know, the way that I've seen him use this is with all these tokens floating around, the one that gets through, well,
Sure.
take 7.
This is an awesome start for Martin Dang against a green deck. I mean, this is exactly what he wants to do. Flood the board with tokens, backed up by Atarka's command. Don't even mess around with, you know, Zergos and Lightning Berserkers and things like that that are going to get blocked easily.
It would have been better with the Dragon Fodder on turn 2 instead of turn 4.
That's fair, but, you know, sometimes you can't have it all. Is that a Dragonlord Atarka in Strasky's hand? That could come down and sweep up these tokens really
Oh,
quickly.
really?
It
Yeah,
is
that's
what
disastrous.
he has here, but does he have enough mana? Every creature he has makes mana,
And he's got Nykthos.
and he's got Nykthos. Is it enough to play Dragonlord Atarka already? Not quite. Or is it? All right, so he's going to have to settle for Whisperwood Elemental, and the next turn play Dragonlord Atarka. I guess the turn 3 or turn 4 Atarka was a little too much to ask, but this is going to get interesting because this is where Martin can potentially leave up Atarka's command and maybe even save his tokens with it, right?
Yeah, great point.
So what is roast hitting? The
Whisperwood.
Elemental. He's going to sacrifice it in response. That's the standard play. That way he gets that ability still. And it looks like Martin Dang is going to be cautious here. He hit that much-needed land. He couldn't make the same sequence without hitting that land, but he did. And now Ostrowski goes for the big dragon, Dragonlord Atarka. He's going to have to try to hedge how he wants to do this. This is where Dragonlord Atarka should be absolutely fantastic. But those 2 untapped mana for Martin Dang are looming.
Yeah, and Andre knows exactly what they represent. He tested plenty against red aggro. A lot of his team is playing red aggro. He knows that's... Martin is at least representing a Tarkus command, and probably, in fact, has it.
Really interesting that Martin Dang didn't attack into the 2 Rattleclaw Mystics last turn.
Right.
I guess there was a Manifest as well, which would have eaten a token. But yeah, I mean, he's clearly setting up his defenses against Dragonlord Atarka, which just shows incredible presence of mind to just assume your opponent has Dragonlord Atarka that's going to wipe out your team.
Don't you just go for it anyway, though, if you're Andre?
I mean, now the question I have is, does Andre sniff this out and say 2 to that, 1 to the other one?
Just settle for killing 2 of them?
Well, you know, he kills 3 if he doesn't have
okay,
it,
sure.
and he kills 2 if he does.
I think he's
And by
definitely aware
way,
of the Atarka's command.
You get an 8/8.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I'm like, yeah.
If you think back till turn 3, he did attack into a Voyaging Satyr with his tokens, which kind of signals Atarka's command there.
Right.
Yeah, I think he knows about it. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I wonder if Andre actually just plays as if he has it and says, I'm going to do 2 damage to one token,
sure.
2 damage to another token, and 1 damage to a third. And that way, even if Martin Dang has it, he's still going to be killing some things.
Nykthos is up to 7, I believe.
Yeah, now it is.
He's able to play Whisperwood Elemental, untap
And
the Nykthos.
Dragonlord Atarka. Okay, so here's the big moment. How much damage? He did.
Yeah,
he
2,
did
2, 1.
2, 2, 1. So this means
Smart.
that Martin Dang, he's going to lose 3 either way, and he just has to let him die, right? Or actually, no. I'm sorry. He could save 1.
Yeah, you could turn a Tarkus command into a single Goblin token.
But meanwhile, Andre, look at his board. That turn he played Whisperwood and Dragonlord Atarka. By the way, 3 lands.
Tarkus command does come down. It's just going to save 1 Goblin. And what? Deal 3 probably?
That's the default.
And he's also considering stoking the flames here, I think. Is why tokens
Before
are
his
going to the
tokens are
graveyard.
gone. So he could actually get half of Andre Strosky's life total here. Uh-oh, Strosky's shaking his head.
He's taking a lot more damage here than he expected to.
He is.
I mean, he went Whisperwood Elemental into Atarka, and Martin's just like 7 you. Or kill Whisperwood. Kill Whisperwood.
All right, so Strosky's at 14 after the Atarka's command then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, if you're in Strosky's seat, though, don't you feel pretty good when Martin starts pointing his burn spells at your creatures?
Certainly. I think what's going on here is Dang wanted to take out the Whisperwood Elemental because that would represent 2 creatures, which makes it a lot less likely that a Goblin token will slip through in an attack. And I think what Dang wants to do is get 1 token through so he can become immense on it.
Okay.
And I think Strosky shaking his head was the sequencing of putting the Whisperwood onto the table before Dragonlord Atarka. Stoke the Flames to kill your Whisperwood would not have been an option if Whisperwood was still in Andre's hand.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have had enough mana
Right.
off of the Nykthos.
Right. I mean, he didn't. There's at least a Rattleclaw Mystic that he didn't tap. It was. I agree. I think he needed the mana.
Yeah. So here's Zergo a little late to the party. You know, when your play for the turn is Zergo Bellstriker and your opponent just resolved both Dragonlord Atarka and Whisperwood Elemental on their turn, you know things aren't going great for you. That said, Strosky's not out of the woods yet. He's at 14 life here, and he needs to close out this game.
Well, it looks like he just picked up Annihilia's Disciple.
Wow.
Well, that would change things dramatically.
Here is See the Unwritten.
So he's going to see the Unwritten first. He, of course, has Ferocious, thanks to Dragonlord Atarka, to get even more devotion going. Jeez.
Polukranos and Courser.
Yeah, which adds 4 more green mana symbols to his battlefield here. And I'm sure he has enough mana left over to play Nylea's Disciple, which is going to gain him how much here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like, or 10, 11, if including
I got
itself. 12, okay. The question is, does Andre have 12? If he does, I think we're about ready to call this one a game.
Wow, Andre Strosky going to put up a second top 8. This is platinum for him too if he gets it.
This is platinum for Andre if he gets it?
Top 8 will get him enough pro points to clinch platinum.
Jeez, and there's still another Pro Tour left in this season, too.
Well, I mean, it'll be 2 top 8s of the 3 this season.
All right, so what he's doing here is he's actually going to Monstrous Pelucranos to take out 3 Goblin tokens and force, in this case, a Tarkus command to come again. And there it is.
Still has the mana for the Disciple.
And that's
Wow.
it. Martin Deg extends the hand. Andre Strosky puts himself in a very good spot to make his second Pro Tour top 8.
The sequencing there from Strosky is worth talking about. He used Pelucranos to force the Atarkus command so that he couldn't say no life gain for you as response to Nylea's Disciple.
Absolutely.
Baited out the Atarkus command. Now the Disciple gets to gain the life even through the Atarkus command. Really smart sequencing there that turn for Andre Strosky.
Awesome play by Strosky there. You mentioned, Randy, when we first came in there that, Andre wouldn't mind playing against these red decks often, and you can see why. He has the tools to beat them. And that was with, as you described it, Ian, actually a really good draw there. We saw Zergo Bellstriker come up a bit later in the game, but for Martin Dang, he actually had the type of draw that he wanted, which was to go wide.
Yeah, it really came down to both players respecting each other's decks. Strasky playing around a Tarka's command and Dang playing around a Tarka herself. So, yeah, I think the great sequencing from the players there.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, too, how Strosky had to keep piecing together how much a Tarka's command actually affected the game. And it turned out it was a lot at both of the times that we saw it. When we saw it on each time, right?
I agree. Yeah, Atarkus command, one of the powerful tricks that Dang's deck has, and Strosky just knew that it was there, knew what it was capable of, and maneuvered things to minimize its impact.
Yeah. All right, so I believe that we are ready to head back to the news desk now, where Richard Hagen is. When we come back, though, we've got 2 more rounds of Standard here before we finish up. Oh, sorry, we're actually going to have an interview instead of going down there, but we're getting that set up now. I'm assuming we're going to be talking with Andre.
He's got to be happy.
He knows that
he has clinched probable top 8.
He's probable top 8 is where he's at. All right, why don't we have a word right now with Andre Strosky, Tim Willoughby.
Hello, I'm Tim Willoughby, here in the feature match area with Andre Strasky. Big smile on your face. It seems like the plane of Tarkir really, really likes you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, the Tark is awesome. What can I say?
I mean, with that win, you've done quite a lot for your career as a Pro Magic player, because you had your top 8 at Pro Tour Khans of Tarkir, right? Now, with that win, what's your record in this tournament?
It's X2. That's 11 wins and 2 losses, I think.
And at this point in the tournament, that's got to put you in pretty good spot for your second top 8 in 1 year. And I believe, what's that for your pro level now?
Well, this locks me platinum with the next Pro Tour. I will get 3 points in what is it, Vancouver? So I'll be platinum then.
A pretty exciting place to be, because in terms of your pro career, how long have you been sort of playing on Pro Tours in total?
I mean, this is my 5th Pro Tour, so not very long. I mean, I still can't believe it. I came here wanting to log gold, which was, I needed to 12-5 or 11-5. And I did that last round, and now I'm here playing for top 8. And I mean, this matchup is about a die roll, and I lost it. And I lost the game 1 pretty easily. And game 2, my opponent had really good draw. But I drew 3 Disciples, and I turned it back around. And game 3, I had a great draw, he didn't, so.
Yeah, there was definitely a point where I was ready to chalk it all down to Dang. Certainly just looking at game 1, where he had a super aggressive game. I believe that he won game 1 with barely 2 lands in play, right?
2 lands, and he completely crushed me. It wasn't close,
But as it turns out, that's why we play 3 games, best of 3, rather than just the 1, because Andre Strasky, you've won and put yourself in great position for top 8 here at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir.
There with Andre Strasky. Congratulations to him, right on the brink of the top 8, math permitting. Let's do some math of our own. Why don't we take a look at our Dragon tracker here at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir as we head down the stretch. 2 rounds to go. How are we going? Are we going to break that century barrier by the end of tomorrow? Let's stoke the flames. That's a different set. Let's stoke the flames nonetheless and see, where do we get to? 76 dragons in the big parade. And then what would it be? 110 hornets close at hand? Something like that. Maybe a lot of counter spells as well. Our dragon counter gets you to 76 here at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. I think we could see 3 figures by the final. We will see. What about Twitter? Let's see your top 3 players for this Pro Tour. Hashtag FantasyPT. Who do you think's going to win? Now you've got 2 players who are probably in the top 8. Martin Dang of Denmark and Ondrej Strasky of the Czech Republic. Join us at hashtag FantasyPT to put your 3 names into the mix. Then we've also got hashtag top 5 cards. What do you think the best 5 cards of the weekend are going to be? And once you sort of put those together on the right of your screen, what is the best deck in Standard right now? Hashtag best deck gives you those 3 Twitter's handles to give us. So, Fantasy PT, top 5 cards, best deck. Meanwhile, it is time for 4 from the floor once again. So let us dial up the action as we head down into the trenches of round 14. And this time around, we are going to begin with that man, Adrian Sullivan, who, it must be said, looks like he is feeling the pressure. He came in on 31 points, 10 wins, and a draw against his opponent there. And as you can see, well, it was really tight. They went super deep into their match before Sullivan won that match. He took that victory over Jason Chung of New Zealand. This is Andrew Olschwiger, who's been playing in his blue jacket throughout. He again was on 10 wins and a draw up against Malaysia's Rick Lee, the overnight leader in his 3rd Pro Tour. Began 8-0, but came here at only 10 wins, so he was really struggling, and once again it was Olschwiger who took that. Rick Lee is now on 4 losses, could be curtains for the overnight leader, but he does have good tie breaks. Thierry Ramboa, there you see, was on 30 points against that man, Jelger Wiegersma, the Hall of Famer. It was Ramboa who won that one. 33 points to him, 11 wins, and now Shota Yasuoka against Nathan Holiday. What result can I give you here? Well, the answer is, even though Shota is playing really fast with his blue-black control deck, and Nathan Holiday is no slouch, I don't have a result for you. There are 2 matches left in the round, and those 2 are one of the 2 that are still going. And both those players desperately need to win. You see David Ochoa there in the background. I can tell you that he has moved up and is still, he was at 9-3-1 coming in. That was very much alive. So, plenty to talk about. And over comfortable, relaxed setting is Brian David Marshall, and he's going to talk to one of a very, very elite group, because this is one of our 6-0 drafters. It's Kyle Bogemes.
Kyle Bogemes. Kyle, Pro Tour San Diego finalist, played on the Pro Tour pretty consistently after that, and then you've been away for a little while. You come back and forth. You're qualifying for a Pro Tour here and there while balancing that against a full-time job.
Yep.
You come into this tournament, you know you're going to play blue-black in Standard.
Yep.
But that's also been your draft tech here. Tell us about what you did to go 6-0 in draft.
Yeah, so at first I started, I opened a good black dash rare. It's the 5-3 that you lose 2 life during your upkeep.
Yeah, Pitiless Horde.
Yeah, so at first I kind of felt like I was going to go into red-black, but I never really played that before in draft. So I started getting past some reasonable blue cards and ended up in blue-black. But because I thought I was the dash deck, I had sort of a proactive game plan in addition to all the good late game blue cards. So I had this, it was kind of like an aggro deck that was able to go long and draw a lot of cards and get card advantage, which is what I like to do in draft.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the, so you think you're going to be black-red. What's happening in terms of blue cards that makes you go into blue? Like, what are the kind of cards you see that make you switch?
So initially what happened was I got a Twin Bolt, maybe 6th pick, so I thought I was red-black. I started out with a bunch of black cards, get past Twin Bolt, take some other mediocre red cards. At the end, I start getting some...
Smells like a Summit Prowler to me.
I didn't see any of those, but I had some, like, it's like the 1/4 flyer and the morph that unmorphs, you get a non-creature, non-land. So these were just kind of like the dregs at the end of the pack. Mm-hmm. So going into pack 2, I was definitely base black, and I was pretty much going to switch if I saw like good blue cards or red cards.
So you have like a Monastery Lore Master and an Updraft Elemental.
Yep.
And okay.
Yep, and then I forget what I even opened that made me want to. Oh, this is what happened. I got past Icefall Regent, pack 2, pick 2. So
wow.
I could have taken Flattened and been conservative, which is also like one of the best commons.
Sure.
But I just kind of go all in at that point. It's like, you know, I like blue-black to begin with, so I might as well just stick with an insane bomb.
But you don't end up in the kind of blue-black that's a really exploitive blue-black deck. You're not really doing a lot of that kind of stuff.
No, actually, I don't think I had any exploit cards in that deck, actually.
It's so bizarre. Your opponent's like, I got to side out my pacifism. It's got all these.
Yeah, exactly.
So you go into the second draft, and you're thinking more about blue-black now? Like, you fell into blue-black, like it was there, and you went with it, but maybe not an optimal version of the archetype. What are you thinking about as you go into that second draft?
So at this point, I did a draft on Thursday on Magic Online. I 3-0'd with blue-black control. 3-0'd with blue-black control the day before. So at this point, I'm just going to force blue-black control, because why would I stop at that point? And then I open, Necromancer Dragon.
Oh, sure.
Pick one, pack
Necromancer
one.
Dragon, yeah.
It's like, okay. Guess we're doing it a third time.
So, it's funny. We did a segment earlier today where we were talking about difficult first picks in Dragons of Tarkir. And one of the things that we set up was the Dragon versus Rakshasa Gravecaller.
Yep.
Which would you take if they were both in the same pack?
Oh, man. That's really tough. I would probably go with probably Gravecrawler.
Yeah.
I think that guy's better.
Yeah, you compared that card to Grave Titan.
Yeah.
Earlier, you said the new Grave Titan.
Yep. Yeah. You can't attack on the ground anymore, and then he gets to attack at the same time.
And now you got. This is a premium card that you rarely see when you're drafting. It's an uncommon, gets picked pretty highly. But you in this second set of packs, where did you get one?
Yep, I got one 4th pick, and there was a Deathwind in the pack too.
So like premium black common, premium black uncommon. Obviously, someone must have taken a black rare.
That must have happened. Like, I would splash for the Grave Titan. It's only one black. You know?
Right.
You can get a dual land. You can get a Evolving Wild. It's really easy to cast, and it's 5 mana, so you have time to get your mana set up.
Okay, so if someone's thinking about going on to Magic Online tonight, drafting blue-black, what advice would you have for them about drafting this archetype and having the right read on whether or not it's open for you?
So both times I drafted the deck, draft 1, I thought I was the red-black dash deck. So in addition to all this card advantage I have, I also had a side plan of being able to win very quickly. And then the second draft, I was kind of waffling between white-blue rebound and blue-black, because I was getting cut off on black, even though I committed really strongly to it. So at that time, I also had the aggressive blue cards on that side.
But also staying open and being willing to go into a different color if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, because both of those colors, white-blue promotes an aggressive strategy, red-black promotes an aggressive strategy. So you have a chance to be proactive while also just having a ton of card advantage.
Excellent. Kyle, I know you're going to be playing these rounds here for another qualification, so we get to see you in Vancouver. Hopefully repeat the 6-0 draft.
Yeah.
Maybe do a little better in Standard than we've been doing this weekend so far. But Kyle Bogomese, Brian David Marshall, sending it back to the news desk.
Thanks very much to Brian David Marshall, busiest man in showbiz. He's going to walk across town to the video wall, because waiting there patiently is one of the giants of the modern game, Mr. Willie Adel. And we're delighted to say that we've managed to put together another Pro Diary piece for you. This is where Willie took us inside his testing process throughout the run-up to Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. You'll see all his decks as he worked his way through, and eventually how he's ended up on the deck he's chosen. So let's take you across there now at the video wall. It's time for the Pro Deck Diary.